And we're going to get going working on this particular layout. Now I've done a lot of prep work to try and make it a little bit faster. So I've done all of my matting of the photos. You'll notice I've got 4x6 photos, and then I've got a 3x4 photo. I did have this 3x4 already matted on the honey, what is this? Honey butter. I am still using the Close to My Heart papers for my cardstock because I have so much cardstock from Close to My Heart that I really just want to keep using up as much as I can without going out and buying a whole bunch of new cardstocks. So before I do that. So again, trying to use up my stash, trying to make the investment that I made worthwhile, and using that up. And I can find close enough colors that it really, you can't tell the difference or it doesn't show up. But I'm not sure if I want to use all black mats or if I want to stick this one in. So I've got an extra one there for that. So we're going to just set these aside. And then what I did is I took out my papers that were part of this collection. And so I'm going to just pull these guys out. And like with all the collections, there's both front and back sides. And what I did, sorry, just trying to get myself somewhat organized here, is I pulled out the papers. Let me just pull out the rest of these because I wanted to kind of walk through this. What I did is I took a look at the papers that were here. And there is a front and a back side for all of these papers. And what I did is I took a look and I tried to match up the papers that I thought would best work for this hexagon design. And then also with the fact that I knew I wanted to take the hexagons and I wanted to have two different sizes. So from the hexagon dies, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sizes, and I'm using the two smallest sizes here for this. And so what I wanted to do is I really wanted to look at the different papers and decide which ones really went together the best. And so there, you've got some really big prints. These guys are really big. And I didn't feel like when you got the hexagon shape on top of it that it worked out the best. I felt like these smaller ones worked better than the bigger ones. And so what I did is I took a look at the back sides and I decided that I thought the flowers would work really well with this design. So I did some of the flowers. I pulled out the green, which is this green that looks like the lines of a bee flying around. And then I took the smaller bee paper here, this one, and I did these as well. So I did 3 of those. I then mounted them all on this one is one of the in colors, Petunia Pop. This is Petunia Pop. But when I looked at it, I really wasn't fond of this green. So we may end up making a change to this. I'm not sure if I like this or not. I might come in and maybe grab some of this, but we will see. I might like it once we lay it out. So anyway, that's how I came to the conclusion of which pieces I wanted. One, I knew which size hexagon I was going to use, and so I could take that hexagon, take this hexagon as an example, the smallest hexagon, and I could lay it on top and see how much of that picture or of that image was going to show. And that's what sort of led me to using this paper and this paper. I didn't really like the hearts all that much, but I may end up switching my mind on that. I really wanted a more green color, I feel like this old olive doesn't really go as well with the petunia pop. But we'll see when we lay everything else out if I still think that's the case. All right. So the other thing about these hexagon dies is that they do the inside cut and the outside cut. So I ended up with a lot of these outside cuts here that I just stuck back in my envelope to use on another project on another day. So, so there's that. Okay, so that's sort of the prep and the design ideas that I had with this paper. Again, I still have a ton of this paper left, so really going to have to come up with some good ideas for using the rest of it. Okay, so the other thing that we have is the sticker sheet. I did buy this paper pack with the sticker sheet, and I'm not sure if we're going to use it or not. I did cut out the Our Hive from the die set. Again, there is Our Hive, and it's got both the inside and the outside. So I did cut that out. But when I lay this out, I might actually like one of these other titles. I've also got a nice journaling block here. I've got some other bees that I can use. So we'll see if we use this as part of it as we finish designing this up. Okay. All right. So this is my sketch. I've got hexagons here, and what I tried to do with this is I tried to create sort of a flower-like feel with the hexagons. So not just to have it sort of as a honeycomb, but to have it like a flower. And so that's the design that I have in each of these corners. And then I've got the bees that I have cut out and gotten ready over here that we're going to add. Again, you don't have to necessarily make this bee themed at all. You can use this for anything, any sort of papers that you would want to use, but that was just my idea. And so I'm going to just put that down here, and we're going to start doing some layout on this. Okay, so I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive in the corners of this so that I can anchor these pieces down, so they don't shift as much while I'm working. So I just like to put it in the opposite corners, and that way I can make sure that the base page isn't moving. This is not sticking. I think I need a little bit more adhesive up there. Okay, this shifted on me. Okay. All right. So just making sure that I'm all square there. All right, so if we bring this back in, you'll notice that I've got a center here on both ends. And I really thought that I wanted my bee to be in the center here. And then around it, I would put the various different pieces. So I've got the greens, I've got the flowers. Yeah. So I thought that I would kind of lay these out like so. So these are full pieces. This piece, and this piece are all full pieces, and the rest of these are partial pieces. So, and again, the flowers are semi-directional, but I think we can get away with it because of the grid layout. Okay, so then I think we'll do that one there. I may not have enough. I thought I cut enough, but I may not have cut quite enough for this. Because I really don't know that I want another. We may have to do a few more cuts. I don't know that I want more than one of the bees. Maybe if we do that. This is always the hard part, is when you're doing the layout of this, what makes sense. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to cut a few more of these to make this work, because I think we want just the bee in the middle. So I've got some extra pieces. I'm gonna have to cut some more of these guys and replace the bees, because I think we only need a bee in the center and then having the rest of these on the outside. So I'm gonna need a couple more of these from what it looks like. Okay, looks like I'm missing a light here. Let me just double check that this light is working. Sorry about that. I just looked over and noticed it was a little bit light. Okay, so now that I have this down, now I can start gluing these pieces down, and then I can go back and cut off the excess pieces. So I really want to start with this piece in the middle, and I do want to anchor this pretty solidly here. So I'm going to put a bunch of adhesive, and I'm going to put that right there in the middle. And then we're going to come off of that one to create our spacing. So the nice thing about hexagons is that they're easy to line up and create really uniform spacing. It's one thing I like about them. Okay, so we're going to go through here. So is anyone else crafting today? Curious on this. I kind of got caught up, unfortunately, with work, and I did not get as many things done as I expected this month. It's kind of been a crazy couple of months for me, and so I know that I got this particular live out pretty late in the process. I should have been advertising it a year, at least a month ago. This one I'm going to line up with the top because I think cutting off a little bit is really going to look funny. So I'm going to line this piece up with the very top of my layout here. And so I'm hoping, because I've been trying to go live on a Saturday or Sunday, not usually at this time, but a little bit later, people can join me, at least for part of it. I know committing 3 hours to anything on a Saturday is quite a lot of expectation. But hopefully some people are crafting today, since it is National Scrapbooking Day, and that you are having a good day. Okay, so this piece as well, I might have to move a couple of pieces because I want this flush with the top as well. So I actually think I'm going to shift this one just a smidge over so that we have better spacing. Same with this. Just move that a smidge over for more even spacing. And then that means these two need to move as well. I'm probably the only one that would notice it, that it wasn't spaced right, but that's, since I haven't put anything else down here, I might as well fix it now. And then this guy needs to move just a little bit as well. And then we'll get that last one down. Again, I want to line it up with the top there as much as I can. All right, that looks good. Okay, one more to lie down. Okay. So if you are scrapbooking or working on a project today, I would love to know what it is. That would be cool. Or if you're working on something, on an album or something that you are just in your craft room playing around. Okay, so I am going to cut these guys off because I might need them for the other side. So I am going to come in here on the back side and trim these guys up. Also, I did want to mention that yesterday Stampin' Up did a scrapbook live on Facebook and on YouTube, and it is now posted on YouTube. If you go to the Stampin' Up main page, it should be posted there now. And I would recommend going and watching it. It's using the Wildflower, I believe it's called Wildflower Celebration. And what they did is they created from the scrapbook workshop kit the 3 2-page layouts, and then they created 3 more 2-page layouts from the paper, the paper and the cardstock and the sticker sheet. And so they created a second layout set for completing almost a full album for someone. And they used the theme, but the pictures were from a trip to France. And then the third part of it was how they put the pictures, how they selected the pictures and moved the pictures or put the pictures on the layouts. So they really did do it in a really cool way, like something that we didn't do it close to my heart. And I really liked it. I really thought that they did a really nice job of the whole process video. There was only one thing that I kind of had issue with the way that they did some stuff, but other than that, I thought they did a great job of putting together. And this is sort of the first time that they've done this, so that's also what was really cool. Is that this was the first time that they had created from this, an out. What do I want to say? It's not an outline, but a whole layout that they worked on. So anyway, I would highly recommend. Again, they were, that might have been a 4-hour. I think they finished up after 4 hours. So again, just something to maybe, if you're interested in, you can fast forward through parts that you don't want to watch. But I did feel like they did a really nice job on it. So okay, so as you can see, I am futzing around here, trying to figure out what's going to work best, and seeing how many of these pieces I might be able to use. Okay, this angle is not right. Again, I'm looking at the orientation of my paper and the orientation of the pieces that I have. Like so. Like so. And then, yeah, I'm not sure I can use these cutoffs at all. So it looks like I need at least 3 more. I need to do something with these guys. Might be able to use this one still, but I need another flower. I need another green and another flower is what it's looking like. Okay, so I need to pull out those pieces of paper. I'm not disliking the green now that I have it actually on the layout. So that's good. All right, so what do I need? Do I need another, I need a flower, a green, a flower. So I need 2 flowers and I need one green, it looks like. Okay, so, and I need, so I'm gonna need both of these. I need the smallest one and then I'm going to need one of those because I'm going to need another piece of petunia pop. I don't have enough petunia pop left over, so I need those two. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at how big I need to cut this piece, and I can get away with what looks like I just needed a hair over 3 inches, it looks like, for that. So I need 2 of these. So we're going to cut this just a little bit over 3 inches just to give us enough space. And that's the same with this one. I need a little over 3 inches. That should work. And then I'm going to need a piece of petunia pop. So I'll put those back in there, and then we're going to grab our cardstock and see if we've got a piece that's going to be big enough. So I'm going to need a piece for the larger one, and that is over 3.5, just over 3.5. Even if I go like this, I can probably get away with 3 1/4 if I do it like that. So, but well, I might be able to make it work. Might I be able to make it work? Let's just see. If I do that, then ooh, I might be able to make this work. Okay, we're going to try it. Worst comes to worst, I just have to cut another piece. But let's give this a go. So I'm trying to get this all the way to the edge as best as I can, so I get the most for my piece. And I am using my small die cutter that I've got just sitting right there on my desk. I find that, at least from what I've been able to use, or what I've needed to use, a majority of the dies work in the smaller die cutter. So that's been actually quite a nice observation. Ooh, I think that's going to work. No, it might not work. Let's see. Can we make it work? I think not. I think we're just a little bit shy, unless we shift everything. We'd have to shift it quite a lot. Okay, we might have to cut a different piece, because I think that's just not going to be quite big enough from the looks of it. Okay, so as I said, you've got this extra piece that it does cut, which is, I think, what took out my corner there. Okay, so we might have to cut a bigger piece, but let's go ahead and cut these other pieces. I'm going to try and cut that at the same time. I'm gonna attempt to cut these at the same time. Again, I probably could have cut this just a tiny bit smaller to save some paper, but that's okay. All right, so again, in my little Stampin' Up die cutter machine, let's see if it was strong enough to go through both of those pieces of paper. Ah, looks like it did. So great. We've got both pieces there, and then we've got our inside pieces, or outside pieces, I mean. There. So we're just going to set those aside for right now. Whoops. My washi tape tore. Okay, we're probably not going to play around with this too much. Yeah, we're not going to play around with that. Just gently remove that. There we go. Okay, so those are those two pieces. Let's do a little bit of maneuvering, and then we can decide if we need to cut another piece. Okay, so I'm going to just remove this this piece, and we're going to add this to the back, like so. All right, now we're going to take this piece off. As I've mentioned before, I work in a very small space, so sometimes it's a little chaotic if you're looking at my desk where I've stacked things up. Okay. All right. So now we've got, I want to just make sure I've got the flowers going the direction I want them to go. So we've got that, that, and then just looking, just seeing, is there any way we can maybe make this work without too much trouble? I don't know, I think I can. I think I can make that work. All right, so I need one more flower piece here. So again, these guys I'm going to just set to the side, and I'm going to grab a flower, and we are going to go like that, and add some washi tape. We're just going to cut the whole thing. I'm going to just go ahead and cut the whole thing, and then we can cut off what we don't need after. Okay, so grab those guys, and let's cut this. This is probably the hardest part of this particular layout, I would say. Oh, we cut that washi tape, didn't like it either. There we go. Okay, cool. Is just getting all of your hexagons set and working the way you want them to. All right, so let's attach this here. And we'll probably start with this piece as our starting point this time. Sorry, I'm trying to get my spacing. So I think we need to start with this piece since we know it's coming like right to the edge there. And then we're going to place everything else based off of that piece. And then we can do our trimming. So this is coming right to the edge here, like so. Okay, and then we can add, I give myself just a bit more space there. We're going to add that one. I think maybe we should do the center one next. Okay, so our bees are going like this. This, I actually think I need to move down because I don't like where that is lining up. I'm not lining up with, I want my points to line up. I think that was one of my problems there too. Okay, so I like that. Okay, and then we'll do this one. So yeah, I'm going to do that like that. Okay. Sorry, sometimes when I get to focus, I lose the ability to talk. All right, so I think we're good. We just need to do some Making sure our flowers are going the direction we want them to go. Like that. All right, so that's good. I think that all looks good. Okay, so let's take this up and we will trim these guys off like we did on the other side. And then we're set to put our pictures on and to add some embellishments to this. I tend to be a person who likes a lot of white space on their layouts. So all of the designs that I come up with will tend to have a little bit more white space than maybe some other people. I do struggle sometimes with the super busy paper. And all of the papers that I'm working with are, well, this one I think is probably the least busy of the papers that I'm going to be using today. But the whole point is I want to show you how you can make that manageable as part of the process and give your places eyes to rest when you're looking at some of these busier papers that you might come across. You may like the paper itself, but you're not sure how to handle it or use it. And so that's one of the goals is, you know, to take a simple sketch like this one and to be able to create interest, but not overwhelm your eye when you're looking at it. All right, so now we've got our two corners done. I'm actually really happy with it. I do actually like the green now that it's down with the white. I do feel like that does work okay. And as you notice, I created a flower motif. So that was part of my goal because I was using the bee idea. I thought that the hexagons looking like flowers was really what I was going for. Okay, so now it's just a matter of a couple of different things. We need to put our pictures. We want to do some dry layout with our pictures. And I know that I have them. Aha, there they are. Okay. Wasn't sure where I laid them on my desk. Okay, so I've got a 4x6 up here and a 4x6 down here. Like that. And then I have another 4x6 over here and a 4x6 down here. And then I also put a 3x4. Now I did line these guys up. And I'm just trying to decide, do I like the yellow? And I don't think I do. I think I want to stick with the black. So we're going to just put that one aside. I think we're going to do black and black. All right. So this is the way that I laid it out on the sketch. Something like this. And then I have my bees. Now these bees are part of those two sets that I mentioned. So the set that is the hexagon set has two size bees, has wings, and then also has antennae or antenna. I'm not sure there's multiple, if it's an antennae or an antenna. Anyway, so I just want to get this piece out of here real quick and put that away. Not seeing the little hole where I can, oh, there it is, punch it out here. So what I did is I went ahead and I took the honey butter, close to my heart, paper, and I cut out a bunch of the bees. And then I also did the punch that I showed earlier, and I punched out one of those bees. You know, when you want something done fast and it doesn't seem to want to work for you. There we go. Okay, I've got that out there. Okay, so I just want to put these away because my desk is getting kind of messy, and I can guarantee you I will start losing pieces and get very frustrated if I don't put it back. So I'm trying to keep myself organized. So anyway, the body of the bee is what looks like a bubble, you know, a talking bubble. So there's two of those, and then like I said, there are the wings here, and then the little antennae, yeah. Anyway, and then you also have on the two stamp sets, you've got the bee pieces. So you could stamp this on white and cut it out, and then or you could stamp yellow on white and then put the black on top, but I felt like that was a lot of extra steps. Didn't really need to do that. What I do love is that they do have these like fun little dotted lines on this stamp set that I'm going to use. And this one does have our Hive also as part of the die sets. So there are 3 sizes of these little guys. So we've got the 2 larger sizes, and then we've got a large size, a small size, and then we have a medium size. And so there's a medium right here. So it's a little bit smaller than this. This is what comes from the punch. And then these 2, the bigger size and the smaller size, come from the die set. But how did I get this stamped the way that you're seeing it here? So I have a little trick for that I want to show you, because I think this really helps with Stampin' Up stamps and dies, because I have a hard time lining things up. And so this is a trick that I think is going to be very helpful for a lot of people. This is going to utilize a MISTI or any other stamping platform. When you take your dies or your punch, you get a negative, right? This is a negative piece. What you do is you lay that, you put a little bit of adhesive to tack it down, you lay those out, and then you take your stamps and you set them inside of that negative space. So you can see that I have laid out the body on these into these different pieces. The same with the wings. The wings are laid out. Now this wing happens to be a little bit off. So I'm going to relay this one out just to show you. So this is down. You put your stamp inside of that negative space and you align it in that negative space. Then you come and you push this down and it picks it up, and now it's going to be perfectly centered for this particular stamp and die combination. And I find that this really helps you line things up really cleanly for this. Now, in this case, you need to make sure that your stamping platform, whatever piece you're on here, is solid. You've tacked down these pieces so that they don't move when you lift up the stamping platform. And then on your individual pieces, I just put a touch of adhesive so that when I lay it in here, I can make sure that that is also going to stay down when I do my stamping, because I might need to stamp multiple times. Okay, and that's important, because if I'm going to stamp multiple times, I don't want these pieces picking up and moving. I want them to stay in the position that they're in for that first stamp. So I've put all 3 of these pieces in. Now I'm going to take my black ink, and you'll notice they're all lined up here, and I can stamp them all at once. So I'm going to go ahead and ink all 3 of these up at once. And then I'm going to, oops, I can see I missed the little tail of that guy. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bounce the camera. I'm going to place that down, and I'm actually going to take a little stamping tool to press down. I just find this is easier for me than pressing. And give it a time to set. Now you'll notice that that's not a very dark black. And that, if I had to do this twice, the chances of me being able to line this up are almost zero. But by using this technique, I can go back and re-ink this again, and I can come in, and again I can use the pressure of that, and you'll notice how much better that looks. And if I wanted it darker, I could probably do another set, right? I could do this again. So the same thing goes for the antenna, or I'm sorry, the wings. These are a little bit small to put into, to put some adhesive on. You could, but I found that I don't really need to do that with these because I only needed to stamp once. Now I'm using this paper is Carolina from Close to My Heart. And I had the Azure Afternoon, which is a darker version of that. But again, same process. I'm tapping on top, and then I'm coming down, and I'm pressing onto that. And now I have my antenna, or my wings, inked up. Now you don't have to ink up the wings if you don't want to. I just like that extra touch. I think they would be fine if you didn't want to stamp them. Okay, so hopefully that's a little technique. Maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know, but it really helps with, especially if you have assembly line, if you're trying to do a lot of things, a lot of flowers at once. This is really, really helpful for that. Okay, so we're going to put that aside. And we're going to bring our pieces back in here. And we are going to decide how we want to lay this out. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I've kind of got my dry fitting of my pictures. And then I have our Hive, which is where I thought my title was going to go. Okay, I just want to line things up so they don't look too funky. Okay, I knew I wanted a big B here. Actually, let's do some assembly. I didn't do any assembly. Let's add the wings to this B so we get the true size of this bee. Oops. I put the adhesive on the wrong side. Okay, so there's that, and then I have the antenna. I'm going to add that as well. Like that. Okay, so I thought I wanted the bee to sort of come up and have like a trail here of their, I don't like where that antenna is. Let me just see. Maybe I need to move my wings back a little bit like that. I feel like that antenna is not in the right place. Again, probably being overly picky here. Okay, I don't know if that's any better, but there we go. Okay, so, and then I wanted to also have some bees in the various different corners, because again, remember what we're trying to do is have the eye go around the page as best we can. So let's go ahead and add some wings here and an antenna. All right, so that's one. And then we've got some smaller ones here that we want to add. to give us some size variety. Now, I didn't do too many of the small or of the medium size ones, the ones that came from the punch. So let's grab another set of wings. I'm using the little tray that was part of the glass mat to hold all my little pieces here. Oops, that looks like that's going the wrong direction. Go. Okay, so then I've got a bee here. I think I want a bigger bee. Again, just doing some dry placement, A, to see if I have enough bees, and B, to see if I like the placement. Because I may want to add some other embellishments besides this to my page. Like, I don't think that the bees work on this paper itself. I think there's too much going on with the paper and the bees are getting lost. So I almost think that the bees don't belong there, that maybe we need just to keep them in the white space up here and add those lines. So this is why you do a dry fit, is to say, yeah, on the sketch, if I didn't have such busy paper, if I just had solid paper where my hexagons are, the bees would have worked just fine. But because I did the double here, the bees just aren't working from a visual perspective. It looks too busy down here. Hopefully people are seeing that as they're looking at it. Okay, so we've got that. I'm just trying to decide, do I need another bee somewhere else? Like, do I need a bee up here? Thinking maybe I need a bee up there. This is also why you might cut extras of things that so that when you're doing your layouts, you're able to you're able to have enough to play with that would allow you the ability to not have to go back and cut. So I do try to cut everything at once, and then from there go use what I can, and then not store, but keep the other pieces together. Okay, so I'm thinking that this kind of works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my stamp set here, and I've got this line that I was thinking I wanted to use to create some movement of these bees. So I'm going to grab my longer block to pick this up, and I'm visually looking at what I can do here. And I do think this bee is going to be popped up. I am going to pop the bees up, but I need to know my placement of it before I do anything else. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with that, actually. I think that's going to look good. So we're going to go ahead and ink up this, and then we're going to shift. The photo is out of the way, and we are going to put that right there. Cool. Okay, we might do another one. Just to keep it interesting. So yeah, I think we'll do another one here. And one thing about these line stamps is don't push too hard. I pushed a little bit too hard the last time around. So just be gentle. You don't need to push that hard. And spread out the spread it out. And then, let's see. Yep, I like the idea of doing it over on the other side as well. So again, we're going to take that, ink it up, and I do need a piece of scratch paper because I'm going to go off of the page here. So if I've got my bee right here, I think I want this right there. Perfect. This one, I don't know if I need a trail. I do think maybe I want a trail on this one up here, though, now that I'm looking at it. I do think I changed my mind. Sorry. A lot of this is just, you know, I do try to pre-plan. I'm not great at pre-planning. I have an idea, and then a lot of it just becomes, okay, what does it feel like when I actually have the pieces down? So again, this one's going to have just a little trail here. Like that. And then I can kind of flip this guy over. Well, we're going to leave that one there, flip this one over, and do the other side. Cool. Since that's going to be hidden underneath, like so. Okay, so we'll see if we're good there. Okay. I'm not going to put one up here, and I think let's just look at the sticker sheet and make one last decision here. So we've got better together. I don't think I like that across this piece here. And I might use one of these two down here. Not this one, because this one's the wrong color. All the Buzz. I might add that down here at the bottom. I think that one might work. Or We Belong Together. I don't like the We Belong Together. I think that's a little bit too specific. Okay, so let's grab some dimensionals. So we are going to pop these bees up on some dimensionals to give some height to these guys. And I am going to have some extra bees left over. I could add some flowers. One of the things I was thinking is I might add some flowers, but looking at it, well, actually, sorry. Not going to do the bees just yet. I need to put down my pictures. I haven't put down my pictures. I'm going to actually leave my pictures flat in this case. I don't think I'm going to pop them up. I'm going to just pop up the bees. So all right. Again, if you want more dimension, you can certainly add more dimension, but I think I'm happy with just popping the bees up themselves. Okay, so then let's add some dimensionals to this guy. And then we can add these to the page. Okay. Like so. Okay, we're going to pop up our title as well. How are we doing on time? Did I make it to an hour? We're just over an hour. Okay. Well, not too bad. Considering I did some intro stuff early, I'm feeling pretty good about timing. I do need to grab some water, though. I will say I'm getting a little chapped. Okay, so let's put this bee down first, and then we can orient our title. the other things that you could add as well is you could add a dashed line around the edge of this. That would be another idea that might make some more visual interest as well. So just doing around the edges here. I would only do the edges. I wouldn't do down the middle here, because that will then break it up for your eye. And the bees then would kind of look like they're running into something versus being free-flowing. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, get the dimensionals off here. And so the other thing about this that's really helpful when you're dealing with a lot of bright colors like we're dealing with this paper is that you want to, using black is also very grounding for your eyes. And that is what I've tried to do here, is by adding the black, what I've done is I have given your eyes a place to rest while you're looking at the layout. And so that is really important to bring focus to your pictures. And to bring focus to what the true story is. Now, I have left plenty of space to do journaling on this. I've also left space, if you really wanted to add more pictures, you could add more pictures to this. On this right side, you definitely have the ability to add at least 1 or 2 more pictures, depending on the size that you use. So that is another thing. You know, depending on how many pictures. There's also the opportunity to use flip-flaps on this layout, that you can add more pictures or add your story if you want to do that behind some hidden journaling. So, you know, we have this nice space here for journaling. We have space down at the bottom for journaling. So again, there's lots of white space. Not only for your eye, but lots of white space for you to use for your journaling. These bees are so cute. All right, so then once we finish this, I think we are done with this layout. I might think about going back and doing the dashed line on this, just to mimic the dashed line that's again in the bees. This guy got it pulled down just a little bit. It's a little too high. Okay, there we go. But I think this is just a really simple way, a simple layout. Just pulling this off of my pieces. I'll bring this up a little bit higher. Using simple dies and creating a really fun layout that can be used for spring, for summer, and gives you plenty of places for pictures, as well as plenty of places to add additional journaling. All right, so I'm going to take that all the buzz. That was the other thing that I saw, and I'm thinking I will add this. I think I'm going to add it right there, but I do want to put this up on foam tape. So I'm going to take the sticky off with a anti-static pouch, and then I'm going to grab some foam tape. I'm going to cut this in half because I don't want it to, I don't have my picture down, so I just want to put it at the bottom half of this sticker. So I'm going to just add that there. Oops, that was at the top half. I knew I was doing it wrong. Something told me I was doing it wrong. I want it down here. Again, I don't want this to overlap the picture. I want it to be, I want the phrase to overlap the picture, but I don't want to not be able to get my picture in underneath there. So by doing that, cutting that in half, I was able to make it related to the picture, but not specifically on the picture. Okay, layout number 1 is done.